Hello, everybody. Welcome to Django Racing. This is the first episode of the Wednesday Wisecrack. Just a couple of guys talking about Formula One, all the news that's happened the last week, all that and more. Today, I'm joined by two friends, Guillermo.
Hello.
And Kyle.
Hey, what's up?
All right. So first order of business, we're going to talk about the last race that just happened, which is the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. A lot of stuff went down in that race. It was crazy. We're going to go over the final finishing order of the drivers. Obviously, we had Max Verstappen winning, Lewis Hamilton second place, Lando Norris on the podium for the second time in third. Followed closely behind him was Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz in the Ferraris. Daniel Ricciardo and the other McLaren finished sixth. Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri finished seventh. Behind him was Lance Stroll, Ocon, and Fernando Alonso. And further down the order, we had Sergio Perez, Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Räikkönen, Antonio Giovinazzi, Sebastian Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, and we had three DNFs this race. We had Valtteri Bottas and the two Williams of George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. And for our championship standings this year, so far, Mercedes is in first. Followed closely behind is Red Bull with 53 points to Mercedes 60. McLaren third place with 41. Ferrari with a comeback year so far. They have 34 points and they're in fourth. And behind Ferrari, it's a very close battle between AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, and Alpine in that order. And the back of the pack, we have Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Haas, all with 0 points. So, guys, any sort of predictions?
Okay, well, one thing about the race finish, Stroll actually finished seventh, but then was hit with a penalty, and then was bumped down to eighth. So, that's what I have to say about that.
And then Kimi Räikkönen, he finished in the points, but he had a 30-second time penalty. And then we had Sergio Perez with a penalty for safety car infringements, which is pretty crazy.
That was confusing. I thought that was stupid. Obviously.
It might be a little bit of the Mexican bias there.
Yes.
Yeah. Sergio Perez had a couple tough races, starting in P20 from the pits last time, and then terrible race.
Yeah,
I'd say it's a pretty...
Is that second Red Bull actually cursed? First race...
Yeah, maybe it is cursed, yeah.
His first race, his car didn't even want to turn on.
Yeah.
And then, but he came back to finish fifth, which was a really, really good result for him. And then this race, he started second place, really good qualifying, beating Verstappen. And then, he was running a good race until he got hit with that penalty, and then he had a spin.
Also, apparently he was having steering wheel issues. I'm not sure if people saw his pit stop, but he actually changed out his steering wheel.
Yeah, he changed the actual steering wheel. I remember that happening. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Also, Charles Leclerc didn't even have any radio after his second stint.
After the red flag,
red flag. That is.
People were saying that Charles should have passed Verstappen when he spun out there, and that it would have been a clean one because Charles actually thought it was a standing start and not a rolling start.
Oh, because he didn't have people telling him.
Yeah, he didn't. He had no idea.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness.
It was a crazy race. It was a good one.
Yeah, hopefully all races can be like that.
Yeah, not seeing Lewis Hamilton finish P1 was just good enough for me, pretty much.
Next thing we're going to talk about in the race was the big one, the big accident, George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. So what do we think about it?
I very much agree with what the FIA said.
Yeah, I also agree. It was a racing incident. It was
literally, yeah.
It was so close to call. Like, I feel like both of them were slightly in the wrong. But, I mean, one of them wasn't more wrong, so you couldn't really like slap a penalty on that accident. It just happened so fast.
So here I actually have what the FIA said. They said the gap between them and the right-hand side of the track decreased, leading to the crash, which I agree. At no time did either car maneuver erratically. The track appeared to be not especially wet through turn 1, but at the point of closest approach to the right-hand side of the track, the right-hand side tires of car 63 hit an especially damp patch and the car snapped yawed, bearing in mind that the car had low downforce in the rear with the DRS open. So yeah, I agree with that because Bottas was following his line and it made the track narrower and it could have easily scared like any driver a little bit. But I was watching back the replays and George Russell's steering wheel doesn't like flinch at all. Like he keeps it pretty steady. Yeah, it was just pretty much, I guess, bad luck.
That was crazy seeing that live because they panned to the accident like midway through it while both cars are like skating into the gravel, and then you just saw the styrofoam flying everywhere. Mm-hmm. That was insane to see. I mean, Kimi Räikkönen got a face full of debris. That was insane. So, yeah, I think it was a racing incident. You can't really pin the blame on one driver, in my opinion. I think it was just way too close to call. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, George Russell probably wouldn't have even crashed there, like where he crashed, if it wasn't raining. So I mean, definitely I wouldn't say either, but any of their faults. So yeah, definitely a racing incident. Yeah,
let's just hope these crashes don't happen very often. It was good to see both of them get out. That little incident where George hit Valtteri in the head on his helmet, and then Valtteri gave him the middle finger. That was probably just adrenaline from both of them.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was pretty funny, not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, I think they were honestly just a little scared, both of them.
Obviously,
you can see George getting out of his car like he's freaking out. He probably looked behind him. He's like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, George Russell went up to Bottas and then asked, like, "What are you trying to do? Like, get us both killed?" I believe he
really?
said something like that.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's definitely just pure adrenaline and emotion just going through. I'm just happy they both walked away.
Mm-hmm. There was two more incidents as well. Well, one at the beginning of the race when Verstappen and Hamilton kind of touched, and the second one where Latifi gets DNF'd.
Oh, Latifi! Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter. I always have Twitter open when I'm watching these races, just refreshing. A lot of people at first were just quick to jump on Mazepin. You know, I mean, because he's like the scapegoat of F1 problems.
Yeah.
But I mean, this time it wasn't his fault. Like Latifi just was blind. he was driving without eyes for a minute, and he just didn't see Mazepin coming up behind him, and just Mazepin tapped his rear wheel, and he just flew into the wall. And I wouldn't put blame on either of them because I mean, Latifi, he probably couldn't see much, and Mazepin couldn't do anything about it. And then also that first turn with Lewis and Max, I mean, people were saying that he could have pushed him a little too wide, but I mean, I'm not sure.
Verstappen said he didn't even think he hit Hamilton. I'm not sure if you saw in the post-race conference.
Okay.
Yeah, he was saying he needed to see the video. Like, he didn't think he hit him, even though they obviously did hit. There's, like, if you watch it frame by frame, you can see Hamilton's car, like, jump and everything.
Yeah, he rode over those huge curbs, and then, like, parts of his front wing came off. I thought that Verstappen might have been issued, like, a 5-second penalty, but FIA deemed it was legal, I guess. There's no action taken against that, which was good. I mean, you want to see good, close wheel-to-wheel fights like that without any sort of crazy accidents like George and Valtteri. But, I mean, overall, that race I think it was pretty exciting. Hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully the rest of the season's like this. I mean, the championship battle between Verstappen and Hamilton, from the first two races alone, looks to be something for the history books. So, I'm pretty excited about that. Finally, get to see a crazy title fight.
yeah, it seems like a really good year. Good year for McLaren too. It looks like with Lando Norris.
Yeah, Lando Norris really has come into his own.
Yeah.
The first couple races, which we'll talk about in our next segment, which is our F1 news feed over the last week. Just
All right.
this week in F1, and we'll talk about our main story real quick, which was that.
Wait, before we get started.
Okay, sure.
I want you guys to listen to the Verstappen clip, and you can edit this in. But it's on Twitter. It's posted.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Is this gonna play? Oh yeah. I got it right here.
I don't think we touched.
We did. We did.
We touched?
Yeah.
I need to see the video then.
I think my end plate got damaged. I don't know exactly.
I didn't think we touched, so I don't know. I have to watch the video again. So I had a good launch, so I was just gaining speed. But then you go to turn 2 and it's a bit difficult to judge your braking point. With the tires, like cold tires, you don't want to outbrake yourself because this track with all the gravel around and stuff, it's easy to damage your car. And we went into turn 2, of course, a bit side by side. But it's difficult to expect the grip in the first lap. So yeah, I also ended up a bit wider than I wanted, and then Lewis was also there, but at one point these yellow sausages were there. So yeah, then I saw Lewis had to go over them.
Whoa, that's pretty. That's crazy how he was completely oblivious to that.
Yeah, some people said that he wasn't a good driver for knowing that he hit Hamilton, but
Okay, that might be outlandish, but anyway, let's head over to our F1 news feed this week in Formula One. Our main story: Miami GP is confirmed for the next 10 years. How about that?
that's amazing.
I mean, we all, are loving it because we don't live very far from where the track's going to be, so that's going to be amazing. I've seen mixed reactions online. A lot of people have been saying so far it looks like it's going to be a decent race, especially with the 2022 spec cars and how they're going to be able to closely follow each other around certain tracks is going to improve the racing. And I think this track could be could be good for the newer cars next year.
The CEO or president of Formula One said that it will take place in the second quarter of the year, so like around this time.
Okay.
Yes, April, May, June area.
You're talking about Stefano Domenicali.
Yes.
The brand new man who had big shoes to fill. He's filling those shoes very well, I think. He's only his 4th month on the job, and he's already got a contract for 10 years with the new racetrack. That's pretty good.
Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I personally think that a race in Miami is going to be awesome. Just such an awesome vibe and everything. Another race in America too. I think that'll be pretty cool.
It'll be good for the fans because people from the East Coast can travel to Miami, and the people from the Middle and the West Coast can go to the Austin race. So, I mean, America's huge. I mean, there's a lot of potential new fans here that are just waiting to discover the sport, like me.
Especially in Miami. When I went to Miami a couple weeks ago, and me and my dad went to a tagwear watch shop, and the guy was saying that most people, if you ask about F1, they'll know about it compared to the other coast of Florida.
Oh, that's cool. That could be pretty cool. Also, a couple years back in an interview, Lewis Hamilton said he was asked, what's one thing you want to see F1 do, and he said a race in Miami. So I think
remember that.
I think Lewis isn't going to retire until he gets the race there. I think I think we'll see one more season after this of Hamilton just because of this Miami race.
I can't wait to see him on Sunrise Drive. You know,
you think that you know how some F1 teams do like filming like before the race? You think they're gonna like Haas maybe since they're an American team will do some sort of like where they drive through the city streets of Miami or something?
Yeah, with their Russian flag on the car.
with the Soviet anthem.
I think it'd be cool if they did to promote it as an American team.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So, I mean, a lot of hype around this race. I mean, F1 changed their logos on social media to the Miami Vice blue and pink, which I think looks awesome. They're not going to keep the logo like that, obviously, forever, but that's still a pretty cool thing to do. Just building the hype. I mean, that's exactly what a company wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising, man. Advertising is so powerful. All right, we're gonna run through a few quick stories. We're gonna get your guys' reaction to some of these stories.
All right.
All right. First one is Yuki Tsunoda is determined to learn from really tough first wet race after his crash and his spin throughout the weekend. I mean, we saw Yuki Tsunoda at his best in Bahrain. I think it's a good learning experience for him to get the wet race done early. So if the weather's gonna have an impact on a future race, he knows what he's in for. I mean, Yuki Tsunoda he's a pretty quick driver.
Yeah, from what I've seen, he seems pretty good. He was, giving Fernando Alonso. He actually caught Fernando Alonso was like sleeping in the first race in the Bahrain. That was the way
really
he just
cool
passed him on that corner.
That was really cool to see.
I didn't really watch Yuki Tsunoda this race, but he was doing all right.
Yeah,
is what I can remember.
Yeah, and then Kyle, you're gonna like this one. Lance Stroll is really happy to score points despite gear shift, visor, and brake issues at the same time in Imola.
Yeah, what a beast! Like, I mean, he's really like gotten to be a pretty good racer in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't even deny it at this point. Like I think he's good.
I think ever since his pole, people started to realize, okay, this guy isn't as bad as we once thought, and they're giving him a little credit now.
Yeah, I think he's finally getting the credit after last season. I mean, like 2019, like the way he performed, I mean, it was kind of understandable to still like give him the classic daddy's cash type stuff like that. But in 2020, he really did perform well. He was really good that year.
And then in the radio rewind video, Lance Stroll was yelling at his engineer like, "I can't see through the corner. I got so much fog on my visor."
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine, let alone driving an F1 car, but driving in the rain with gear shift and brake problems, and you can't see, and he still scored points.
Yeah.
In an Aston Martin, which wasn't as good as the Racing Point of last year. I mean, that was a really, really solid drive from Lance.
Yeah.
All right, next one is Lewis Hamilton is the latest driver to try next season's 18-inch tires for the 2022 season with Pirelli. I like the way these tires look. I
just saw it too. Yeah, it looks really cool with the big rims. It just makes it look like more modern, I guess, because cars now just bigger and bigger rims.
Yeah, I mean, they look good. If they're supposed to increase, the performance and, like, the better racing, I'm all for it. I mean, I don't see any cons with it, personally. And they look really good.
I'm pretty sure... I haven't looked into it that much, but I'm pretty sure just, like, having a smaller wheel, it's going to heat up faster. And the cars are going to feel the bumps more unless if the teams make better suspension. Because right now they rely on just how big the tires are.
Yeah, that's true. They don't have that crazy suspension that Renault had last decade where it was driving over gravel traps and it wouldn't even, like, bump. Well, so unless that technology is a thing anymore, that's not going to happen with the shorter, grip patch on the tires. We'll see. Hopefully it increases like race strategies, like more pit stops maybe if the tires wear out faster.
That'd be interesting.
That could be something cool to see. All right, this next piece of news is pretty interesting. Former Renault F1 driver Jolyon Palmer claims that Hamilton's rare mistake at Imola was really caused by the title threat from Verstappen. He elaborated by saying, beyond the factual reason for Hamilton's crash, though, is the mindset of the driver, who knows the risks of driving on the wet part of the track, but deemed it worth taking the risk in order to apply pressure on the race leader, his championship rival. That's a really interesting take.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really thought about that at all.
Yeah. I always thought of like Hamilton. He always seems like pretty calm, you know, just except when he yells about his tires. But he always seems like he doesn't really break under pressure. Like, he's always done really good. Just in the past, you know, how many years?
Past forever. Seems like forever. I mean, as long.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching F1 since 2018. I mean, so ever since I've started watching F1, he's just been the man to beat. And it looks like Verstappen might be getting into his head a little bit. It's his first real challenge since Nico Rosberg. That's going to be really cool to see. And it's not even from his own team, which is going to also add to it for the Constructors' Championship. That's going to be...
I mean, I think the way that you beat Lewis Hamilton is by getting into his head. I mean, I'm sure that's how Nico Rosberg had, like, beat him. Like, being teammates, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
In his head like that.
Nico,
I think that's the one way that you beat Lewis Hamilton is by getting in his head and all that.
Nico did everything in his power to get into Lewis's head throughout their time at Mercedes when they had a championship contending car. So basically from the start of 2014 through 2016, that rivalry really changed when they both realized they could win more championships.
Mm-hmm.
And for Nico's case, his first and only championship. And I think Max Verstappen is going to definitely have to take this route. I mean, he's going to have to do more than perform on track. He's going to have to, you know, just mess with him a little bit, mess with Lewis a little bit, make him feel uncomfortable in the car. This was clearly evident in Abu Dhabi last year. Something was not clicking in Lewis's head. He was nowhere near Bottas or Verstappen on race pace. So if Verstappen can keep this up, it could be a good championship fight.
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of mental stuff. Like, you know, the Red Bull seat, like Albon and Gasly, they just have to, you know, try to keep their minds straight. Bottas just trying to compete with Lewis Hamilton. It just has to be so mentally, like, degrading, and it's just awful being passed by somebody or having a teammate that's in the same car or similar car, and they're just so much faster.
It's like when Lewis was passing Lando Norris to get into second place. Lando on the team radio right after the pass, he's like, I can't keep up with this guy, he's too quick. So it's like all the drivers know how good Lewis is, and nobody's denying that, unless they want to just play mind games, I think. All right, our next news story is Mattia Binotto of Ferrari. He's delighted with the first consecutive races with double points for Ferrari since 2019. That is crazy to think about.
Wait.
So the first two races of the season, both Ferraris finished in the points in two races back-to-back. That hasn't happened since 2019.
Wow, I never thought about that. Yeah.
I remember last year, they did really bad, but Leclerc was able to get points, but Vettel...
It's like, and if Leclerc and Vettel scored points, the next race, one of them would be out of the points, or both of them would be out of the points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari certainly is taking better strides to, regain their form, which is always good to see. You know, you want to see the red car, decently fast and competing. When you think of Formula One, you think of Ferrari. I mean, they've been in F1 since the very beginning, and I don't see them leaving anytime soon. So seeing them up at the front, coming back, is a good thing to see. It really is. And our next story goes to another Italian team that isn't Ferrari, AlphaTauri. It's Pierre Gasly says starting on wet tires left us screwed as he rues AlphaTauri's Imola strategy. I would say putting Pierre Gasly on the wet tires when everybody else was on faster tires was not very smart. But I mean, in fairness, AlphaTauri had no idea what the race pace with these tires were going to be like, so they took a gamble. It didn't really pay off at the beginning. He was down in the bottom 5 at one point, I remember seeing. He was getting passed by everybody at the start.
Yeah,
and he
strategy does
to
play a big part. And as soon as they put Vettel on those softs, I was like, okay, this could save or break his race. And I was looking at the timing screen because I had it on F1 TV, and he actually set some fastest sectors, and all of a sudden Lewis Hamilton was setting faster sectors. I was like, well, it looked like it was good, but then they were like, okay, Lewis pushed to actually see the limits of the tires.
Yeah.
So it looked like if you were like comfortably driving, you could use the softs, but if you really wanted to push, it would be difficult. And I knew when it started raining that Perez would have problems because all the 2 other rain races in the last season he didn't do too well. And actually one of them was because of their setup, but then another race, I believe it was Hungary, he didn't do too well in the rain.
All right. And I mean, Gasly ended up finishing 7th place, which is pretty good, 6 points after being down in like P16 at one point. So I mean, he did save his race at the end, which is good.
And yeah, I think it maybe just depends the track and other stuff. Well, I mean, obviously it does because Perez actually got podium on one of the races last year where it was raining. He got podium.
Yeah, it was
with Lewis
Turkey.
Hamilton and Vettel. I forgot what track that was.
It was Turkey.
Portugal. It was one of the tracks where they don't usually race on.
Guillermo, can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It was Turkey.
Oh, Turkey.
Yeah, because Hamilton won his. Didn't he win? He got like the win record, and then he either got the win record. I think he got the win record in Portugal, and then he won the title in Turkey, and he won that race. And then it was Perez and Vettel on the podium with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Perez can do good in the wet. I mean, it's also probably him just getting used to driving the Red Bull in the wet. He'll get better at it as the season goes on.
I hope he signs another year.
I do too. He's definitely got the talent to stay at Red Bull. It's just, I think he will prove himself. It's just a matter of time. The first podium, maybe that first win. I mean, he's got that car. Maybe Max DNFs out of a race. Perez is able to pick up the win.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like once he just gets like some momentum going, he'll ride it to some solid finishes.
That's true. That's very true. And our next story, couple stories come from the McLaren garage. Lando Norris has made the next step as a driver after the Imola performance, says team principal Andreas Seidel. And Daniel Ricciardo said he's not letting his ego get in the way after failing to match podium heroics of Lando Norris at Imola. So, yeah, what do you guys think about Lando Norris's race pace in the wet compared to Ricciardo's?
I'd say it's just like, I mean, Lando Norris, I think he's really gotten used to that car pretty good, and Daniel Ricciardo's probably still getting used to it. But
yeah, this happened to him at Renault too. He was it took him like 3 or 4 races to get up to speed with the Renault, but I think it was at Spain, the Spanish race in 2019. He was able to. I think he got like a P6 or a P7, like top best of the rest, top of the midfield finish. So it's only a matter of time before Ricciardo really starts putting in those performances.
Yeah, we're seeing it with all the new drivers that switched up. They're all kind of having like Vettel, Ricciardo. I mean, Ricciardo isn't even doing that bad, and he's still like.
That is true. Yeah.
I think all the new drivers will improve from these last 2 races, which is saying something.
Well, let's see if the older guys improve. Vettel and Alonso. it seems like they're having the most problems.
Yeah.
That's true. And we're gonna head over to Sebastian Vettel. He says, he means Aston Martin. We need to do a better job in a lot of areas," says Sebastian Vettel, as tough start at Aston Martin continues at Imola. I mean, I feel like we all thought we were gonna see a reinvigorated Seb in a top of the midfield car, challenging for like P6, P5, maybe a podium. But I mean, partly, his car just hasn't really delivered much results for him. It hasn't been that great so far. Hopefully they can, Aston Martin can turn it around. It's going to be hard to do because they can't really just turn their low rake car setup into a high rake car overnight and then have the same performance as Red Bull. That's just not going to happen very easily.
Yeah, I remember Lawrence Stroll was saying that his plan was to basically, copy the top team to get, higher in the championship to get more money, and then, they can actually start really making their own car. And it looks like he couldn't quite copy Mercedes this year, and you can see where Aston Martin is now.
Didn't Lawrence Stroll also say that he was going to file a lawsuit against the FIA?
I don't know, man.
I think it was for like intentionally trying to screw over Mercedes and Aston Martin. That is something we might need to talk about. Do we have any thoughts about that?
I don't know much on it.
I don't know much about that.
I mean, to me, it's kind of crazy. The team, just like a few seasons ago, who prided themselves on, not being able, to have much income, but they're still able to get those podium finishes and those top of the midfield finishes throughout the season. And now they've flipped 180 degrees and they're trying to protest that their car isn't fast enough. That's pretty crazy to think about. It's just how the times have changed, really.
Something to think about with the Aston Martin though is Sebastian Vettel just massively underperforming in the car, or is Lance Stroll massively overperforming in the car?
That's a good point.
Or is it right in the middle? That's just something to think about with the Aston Martin.
That's what I was thinking about with the Ferrari, because Carlos Sainz is new to it. He could be underperforming, and Leclerc's always outperformed that Ferrari. So I think the same thing could be happening at Aston Martin, and also this is not helping Vettel's mental strength.
Do you guys think that Sebastian Vettel will ever return to form?
Gosh,
I hope so.
I really do hope so.
But at this rate, man, I don't know.
I really thought he would have had a chance to come in Aston Martin before the season started, but I'm losing hope. I really am.
I mean, we can all say a prayer for Sebastian. We'll see if that can help his performance in Portugal. But for the meantime, he really needs to get his stuff together. He needs to get that car figured out. He didn't really have many laps in preseason testing either to get familiar with the car. So that really didn't help him either. And he ended up not finishing the race. He DNF'd. He ended up 15th in the standings after the race, after the checker. So we'll see if Sebastian can pull something out of his rear to get some good results going for him. And our next story comes from George Russell. He says, "I should have handled the situation better," in an apology to Valtteri Bottas. And Toto Wolff says Russell has lots to learn, as he admits costly crash with Bottas will hurt his Mercedes upgrade plans. I mean, Russell kind of shot himself in the foot with that accident. I mean, I don't think Toto Wolff, as of now, I mean, there's still 20 races left in the season, but as of now, April 20th, the day we're recording this, I don't know if Toto Wolff's going to think of George Russell as a good fit for Mercedes next season. He's still got stuff to iron out. That incident's I feel like all of his misfortunes really come out in Imola. Last year, he was in the points and he crashed under the safety car. and this year he crashes with a Mercedes driver when he wants to be in that team so badly. You know how bad George Russell wants to be in that team.
Oh yeah,
So,
I think Cal can probably agree with me on this that Toto Wolff is just being harsh for the sake of being harsh. Just saying that
yeah.
is probably just to push Russell.
Okay, that's a good point. Kyle, were you going to say
Because
something?
Yeah. Toto Wolff has always said that Russell's part of Mercedes' long-term plan, and he's just too good not to be put in a good car.
That is very, very true.
I think that George Russell, I think he should know that, he's probably going to go to Mercedes one day, but, he shouldn't just have this mindset, doesn't care what's happening because he's going to go to Williams. I think they want to make him still fight for his spot on Williams. They don't want to just think, he's going to get that spot no matter what after Bottas is gone.
Okay, that's a good point, yeah.
I mean, he always does really good in every race.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have two more stories to talk about. It's about Fernando Alonso. Manic Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, perfect for speeding up learning process on F1 return, says Alonso, as he scores his first F1 points since 2018. So, what a hell of a race for Fernando. I mean, he qualified way low, still ended up getting a point in the Alpine car, which isn't as good as the Renault was last season. I mean, do you really think Fernando is going to be as good as he was in 2017 or 2018 now?
Fernando Alonso said that he's better than Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen.
Oh, yeah.
He's better than... he said he's basically better than everyone. And he's going to come back strong.
To be the best...
It is.
To be the best, first you must think you are the best. So, I mean, he's already he's on the right track in terms of mindset. I'm sure, as the season progresses, maybe the Alpine will start improving a little bit, and Fernando and Esteban will be able to get some better results.
I mean, he was able to fend off Perez for 15 laps. I was like, come on, just pass him already. Perez, Ocon and Alonso were side by side, for the last quarter of the race. And also Stroll was right there too.
They finished within a second of each other. Yeah. They Ocon, Alonso, and Perez finished within 2 seconds of each other. So I mean, that was very close for the last couple points on the board. And our last story. Christian Horner praises best Red Bull season start in a long time after Verstappen's victory. Do you think that, you know how Red Bull have been the last maybe 4 seasons, they've always been late to the party. They've always had the best car halfway through the season when Mercedes has stopped upgrading their cars to focus on the next year. Do you think this is the season, that Verstappen can keep winning and, not be pressured by Hamilton into mistakes or, just not winning races? Do you think this is going to continue?
Maybe, but as my dad is always scared of, with Perez's car especially, is that it's going to break down. I remember other seasons, I think Ricardo had 7 DNFs. And
that was 2018. That was
the car breaking down. Those seasons are just brutal for Red Bull. A driver having 7 DNFs, that's a third of the season.
That's insane. Any other thoughts?
I mean, I really hope Red Bull can keep this up. I mean, I'd love to see a competitive season and the end of Mercedes dominance. But, I mean, it is just 2 races in. I mean, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and anything
And it doesn't look like
will
Bottas is doing too well. And if Perez can just improve, as long as there's no wet races, I think he'll do great. I want to be honest.
I think what should happen is, Verstappen is obviously going to challenge Hamilton. I know Perez desperately wants to win a title, but I think this season, if this is going to be his first season at Red Bull and, for a while, he might be on the team for a while, He just needs to prioritize beating Valtteri Bottas in the championship. I think, Max is going to pull his weight, and then if Sergio ends up pulling his weight against Valtteri, then Red Bull has a shot at winning this championship.
I think Perez can do it. He got, he in 4th in the Drivers' Championship last year?
He did.
So I think he can do it in a Red Bull. I think he can beat Bottas.
Yeah. And we are going to head to our final part of this podcast. It's going to be our relative performance comparison. So, where do we think, all the teams stack up in terms of pace compared to each other? I'm going to go through my list, and Kyle and Guillermo are going to go through their lists. It really is such a big gray area in terms of where you think how fast each car is. But we're going to try to dissect it as best as we can. I'm going to start off with the first two teams, which I think should be obvious, is that Red Bull has the fastest car and Mercedes is right behind them. I think we can all agree on that.
I think, they're close. I can't quite say which one's faster because, we're still... If I just try to pull up some results here, qualifying, I guess Verstappen out-qualified Hamilton and Bottas in Bahrain, and in Italy, Hamilton actually out-qualified both of them, but Bottas was back there somewhere, and Perez was really, really close, and he said that he should have gotten pole because he made a little mistake on one of the final corners. So, I think just looking at that, Red Bull is slightly faster.
I think we're going to see a Perez pole and a Perez win this season. I don't think that's really crazy to think about.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like a matter of time.
It's a matter of time. 20 races left, 21 races left. Hopefully with all the COVID everywhere, we can have all the races this year. And so we're going to move on to the midfield. So third fastest car, I have McLaren. Fourth fastest, I have Ferrari. And the fifth fastest, I have AlphaTauri. What do you guys think of that?
I think I agree. I thought Renault was going to do better, just starting off this year, because they did pretty well last year.
Yeah.
They were fighting with McLaren. I mean, McLaren's using Mercedes engine this year.
Yes.
That could be, making a big difference.
It could be, yeah.
And Renault's had championship engines, like Vettel's 4 wins.
Yeah, that is no engines.
Point. Alonso won his 2 championships with Renault. So, I don't know, I guess.
And also, we're going back a decade or so. I mean, Kimi Räikkönen in the Lotus, which is powered by Renault, was able to win a few races. And Grosjean was able to get on some podiums. He got 10 podiums with the Renault-powered car. So... Renault know how to make a good engine, but I don't know about a good hybrid engine. They just have to figure that out in the factory.
Mm-hmm. I mean, last year there were some races where they were just going so fast. I think Spa was one of those races.
And Monza.
Yeah.
Monza, they were so fast. Even in 2019, I think Renault finished 4th and 5th or 5th and 6th at Monza. Back when there was that solid top 3 teams with Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, they were still able to finish P5 and P6, I think. So tracks that are faster like that definitely suit their engine. We just have to see about this year's engine, their new engine that they made.
Yeah. So keep going on. What's your list?
So continuing, we'll have I have 6th fastest is Aston Martin, and I have a tie for 7th. I have Alpine and Alfa Romeo tied in terms of pace.
I guess that's just right now. I really thought. Let me see if I can look at qualifying times.
Alfa Romeo's they're really shocking.
They're
outperforming. My expectations at least, they're way outperforming where I thought they'd be.
I mean, their qualifying wasn't great. They both got knocked out in Q1,
Yeah.
But Kimi was able to be in the points until his penalty.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the first race in Bahrain, they finished P11 and P12. I think that car is good enough to score points. They just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that's a big jump from last year. Last year, they were a consistent out Q1 team.
Yeah,
I think it was because of the Ferrari engine.
The
as
Ferrari
well.
engine was so bad last year. It's crazy how much of a difference I think that paid for Alfa Romeo. And obviously, you know, with their new front wing, just some more downforce and more speed, I think has really helped them a lot.
Oh, yeah. And Kimi Räikkönen has always talked pretty positively about the Alfa Romeo whenever it seemed like you know, interviewers ask him about their pace. He always says that the car can go faster and such.
Yeah, that's a good thing for a driver to be saying about your car, is that there's always, you know, their car is good, but it can be better. I mean, that pushes the engineers to develop better and better parts to, you know, be able to challenge for more points. And so for the final two, I think it's pretty obvious. Williams and then Haas is way dead last.
Yeah, that Haas is just terrible. I mean, they're definitely at this point, they're just focused on next year. I don't think there's any way they're still focused on
They're not. There's no way.
Yeah.
Haas is like whenever you get started on like a motorsport manager game and you like get the cheapest drivers and you're just like, all right, you just got to focus on next year's car.
They have such a bad car, 2 rookies, and it's just a recipe for disaster. I mean, this is going to be a good year for Schumacher and Mazepin to really get their feet into F1, you know, with a bad car. So, I mean, they could be prepared for anything if their car is good for the new regs.
I mean, Gene Haas, the person who's sponsoring or owns the team, is not going to like all the crashes. You know,
No.
We had Mazepin in the first
And then
race.
Schumacher, he broke his front wing off, and he had to wait 2 laps to pit.
And did Mazepin? He spun out a couple times in practice. I'm not sure how much damage there was, or if he did get any.
I mean, I don't like to be too harsh on anybody. Hopefully we can see him, you know, do better.
Yeah.
You know, I always like a good comeback story, no matter what sport. And, you know, see, Mazepin was at an all-time low the last couple months. Hopefully he can really, you know, turn his career back around once he gets more comfortable with the car.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, anything else to...
you can get, though, with that car.
Oh, yeah, with the Haas.
I mean, even if you had K-Mag and Rogro still in the Haas, there's no way they would be better. I think that car is just still so unbelievably bad that even 2 experienced drivers with how good they are, how good Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean are, couldn't really do anything with it. I think, personally, I thought Kevin Magnussen and Grosjean were super underrated drivers at their time at Haas.
As soon as Grosjean had the opportunity, he always did good in that Lotus. Whenever I saw past races,
you know, once he had the car, he was able to perform. He really was. He was a special talent. Kevin Magnussen was a special talent for Formula One as well. I don't know if we're ever going to see them both back. I doubt it, but I mean, they're always going to be remembered in Formula One.
Yep.
And anything else to add about the relative performances?
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much everything. We covered all the drivers.
Anything else we want to add?
Going to do good. Bottas, we'll see.
Anything else we want to add to the entire episode before we wrap up? How about make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're still listening? That'd be pretty awesome.
Of course, and check out the other videos, because
check out my other
one of
videos.
them popped off for Jimmy, but
yeah,
the other one's not so much.
I mean, you gotta. I've realized, I've got to start small. I mean, that one video, I knew when I was gonna make my other videos, I'm not gonna get the same amount of views. I told myself that. I'm like, you just gotta keep posting. And I lost the drive to post, but I feel like ever since this season started and how excited I am, I've kind of found my fire to upload again. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
morning I hit 150 subscribers. I think it's even increased more as the day's gone on, and I'm just really, really excited. 150 is not a big number, but it's a good starting point. I think,
Yep.
think maybe by podcast number 30, that number will be like 5,000. You never know. I mean, that would be pretty cool. Imagine 5,000 people listening to us bullshit about Formula One. That'd be pretty crazy.
That would be.
That would be pretty awesome. Well, I think that does it for this week's episode of the Wednesday Wisecrack. Episode 1, I think we got off to a good start. I had a lot of fun, guys. I'm pretty sure you did too.
That was a good
To talk
start,
about all the
yeah.
drivers.
Yeah, I think a nice little weekly checkup, like a doctor's appointment for Formula One, is going to be good. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun on this podcast, guys, and we're gonna hopefully get more guests. Hopefully, have this podcast be larger, maybe like 5 people on at once. Maybe we're gonna be able to attract some bigger F1 YouTubers in the future. That would be amazing.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be really sick. But yeah, everybody, thank you all for listening. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more uploads and to catch next week's episode of the Wednesday Wisecrack.